Do you really need an Apple Pencil? Up until now, I've always said yes. Don't even think about it. The Apple Pencil is hands down the best stylus for the iPad. But maybe I've changed my mind. I've recently bought this Lochitek Crayon, and yes, I bought this with my own money because I was super curious to find out how this works. And I've seen it recommended a few times, and also Apple actually sells this stylus on their website. So I thought, well, if Apple sells it, maybe it's not that bad. But is it the Apple Pencil killer? Well, that's what we're going to find out in this video. And while we're looking at these different stylus pens, I've actually also got a Wacom Bamboo stylus that I'm going to show you as well, because why not? The purpose of this video is to review all of these stylus pens to see what they are good for, what they might struggle with, so you can make an informed decision about which ones of these stylus pens you want to buy for yourself. So I've made this scoring sheet, and I'll test each of these stylus pens according to their suitability for taking notes, for calligraphy, for creating art, and then I'll give it an overall score as well. We're going to start with that first generation Apple Pencil because it's my first true love when it comes to stylus pens for the iPad. I will never forget the first time I held this baby in my hands. It really felt like true magic. If you end up deciding that you want an Apple Pencil, you need to make sure that you check the device that you have to make sure that you get the right Apple Pencil for your device. The first generation Apple Pencil only works with a selection of iPads, and I'm going to put the compatible devices on the screen here for you. I have two of these devices right here, and I'm going to do the test with the 6th Gen iPad, which is the one that came out in early 2018. And then to perform that test, we're going to use the Procreate app, and I've made a scoring sheet here that you can see. So it's got 4 quadrants, one for each stylus pen, so we can really compare apples with apples. I've also made a stylus test brush set so we can use the same brushes with all the stylus pens to see how they perform. So the first test we are going to do is to test out the ability to take notes. And this is pretty straightforward. All we're going to do is write the name of the pen that we're testing out right here. So this is the Apple Pencil 1. And as you can see, as expected, this performs really well. This is really responsive. And so of course, this is a very nice experience. Even on an older iPad, this still really works well. And now to demonstrate the suitability for lettering and calligraphy, let's select a brush that is pressure sensitive. So this brush here is not only pressure sensitive, but it also changes color with the pressure that you put on the iPad. So if I'm putting more pressure on, you can see how it changes the color, and you can see how this creates this super nice transition between the thick and the thin strokes, but also the different pressures as well. And then we're also going to try a painting brush, and so I'm just going to try painting a little petal here, and as expected, this works really, really nicely. Next up, we have the 2nd generation Apple Pencil, and this is compatible with the 3rd and 4th generation 12.9-inch iPad Pros, and also with the 1st and 2nd generation 11-inch iPad Pros. The iPad that I have here is the 4th generation 12.9-inch iPad Pro. The big difference, of course, is that you can charge the Apple Pencil on the iPad, and it also sticks to the iPad like that, which is super handy and has really made a huge difference in my enjoyment to using the Apple Pencil. It's always charged and is always ready to go. Using this Apple Pencil with more than one iPad is actually not too bad either, because all you have to do is put it on top of your iPad, and then you can see it connects automatically. So this is very, very fast and easy as well. In terms of performance and usability, the 2nd generation Apple Pencil is actually pretty much identical to the 1st generation. And of course, it performs exceptionally well. It's ever so slightly more responsive than the Apple Pencil 1 that I've tried on the previous iPad. So now we're also going to try out the ability to create lettering and calligraphy, and of course, as expected, this Apple Pencil performs extremely well. So now let's do some painting as well, and this works really, really nicely. It's ever so slightly more sensitive than the 1st generation Apple Pencil, but it's not something that you would notice on a daily basis, I don't think. So now we have a really good baseline, so now we know what the Apple Pencil does. So now let's have a look at the Lochitik Crayon. This stylus works with all iPads that came out in 2018 or later. So it works with my 6th Gen 2018 iPad, but it doesn't work with the 2nd generation 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which I find a little bit disappointing. I've tried it out and it doesn't work. So now for the test, we're going to use the 6th Gen iPad because I think it'll be more likely that you have one of these iPads when deciding whether or not you want to get the Lochitek Crayon. We're going to start with the note-taking ability, and I'm actually quite happy with the performance of this stylus pen. It's very precise and it's very fast. So for note-taking, this stylus actually works really nicely. One of the things to note is that the stylus pen has a slightly different shape, so it looks more like a carpenter pencil, and I'm personally not a big fan of the shape. But having said that, it doesn't feel too bad. It's still nice to hold, and I don't think it would bother me too much. All right, so now let's change the brush. Let's do some calligraphy now. And this is where the problem starts with this stylus. Because it's not pressure sensitive, of course, you won't be able to take advantage of the pressure sensitivity of the Procreate brushes. And of course, personally for myself, this is a big no-no. So I wouldn't enjoy using this pencil because I very much rely on the pressure sensitivity of my brushes. Right, so now let's do a painting test as well and see how it works. If we want to do some painting or just being a bit creative, maybe do some illustrations. And this is not too bad. It's quite responsive, but you'll see that unfortunately, because it doesn't support pressure sensitivity, the opacity setting of this brush is getting affected as well. So it's not just about creating thick or thin strokes, it's also about different opacity settings, and that's where you really notice the benefit of having the Apple Pencil. It's much easier to achieve the difference in opacity. So with this pencil here, you'd have to decrease the opacity to create lighter strokes and then change it back. So it is possible, but it's just not as nice as with the Apple Pencil. And then we're also going to try out the Wacom Bamboo Fineline stylus. And I'm going to show you how this works on the 6th Gen iPad, but then also on the iPad Pro because it's a little bit different. It's not officially supported by Procreate, but I just want to show you how this works as well on both iPads. So we're going to start with the 6th Gen iPad, and we're just going to test out the note-taking capabilities. And you can already see this is not ideal. This does not work really well, and the palm rejection doesn't work properly. So for the 6th Gen iPad, this stylus pen doesn't work that nicely. Let's also try out the calligraphy brush to see how this works. This is meant to be pressure sensitive, but as you can see, it doesn't work that nicely on the 6th Gen iPad. But now let's try it on the iPad Pro, and I'm going to show you how it works here. It's still not great, but it's definitely much better than on the 6th Gen iPad. So for note taking on the iPad Pro, this stylus is not too bad. It doesn't create too many wobbly lines, but it has quite a bit of lag. So now let's try the ability to create lettering and calligraphy. So this stylus pen provides pressure sensitivity, and you can see here now we can create the thick and thin lines. And now let's try a letter as well. And then we're also going to try one of the painting brushes with this. And for painting, this stylus is not too bad because it's got the pressure sensitivity, which means it also changes the opacity in the brushes. All right, so now that we've tested all the stylus pens, it's time to rate them. I'm going to rate each stylus pens for all these categories on a scale from 1 to 5. 5 is the top mark, and then 1 is the bottom mark. So let's go through them all. So the 1st generation Apple Pencil will get a 5 in these categories. I still absolutely love the 1st generation Apple Pencil. And then overall, it only gets a 4. And the reason why it only gets a 4 is because of this thing here. It doesn't charge on the iPad itself, and I've always found this a bit frustrating, having to charge the pencil either in the iPad or have an external charger. So I didn't like this so much, and that's why it doesn't get a 5 overall. All right, and then we also have price here, and I'm actually going to cross this out. I'm actually not going to look at the price so much because I don't think it's a fair comparison, but I'm going to write value here instead. So really what we want to do here is look at value for money when it comes to these stylus pens, and the Apple Pencil one definitely gets a 5. I think it's exceptional value for money. It's been my absolute #1 favorite Apple device of all the devices I have. It's changed my mind, so it's absolutely worth that price for me. All right, so this will give the Apple Pencil 1 a score of 24. And then we're going to go over to the 2nd generation Apple Pencil. And of course, this will get 5s here as well. This is really not that much different from the 1st generation Apple Pencil. Overall, I'm going to give this stylus a 5 as well. Having the ability to charge it here on top of the iPad and also having this attached to the iPad at all times is amazing. This is really what I wanted, and so no question here, it's going to get a 5. Then when it comes to value for money, I'm not going to give this stylus a 5 because you can see this is $30 more expensive than the 1st generation Apple Pencil. And even though it's got a little bit of extra functionality, I don't think Apple needed to make this $30 more expensive. I think the reason why they made it more expensive is just because they could. Because they knew people wouldn't mind paying an extra $30 for this extra functionality. In my mind, I don't think it's fair. So, sorry, you won't get a 5 here, but I still think it's exceptional value for money. So I'll give it a 4. And that will give this Apple Pencil a score of 24 as well. And then the Lochitek Crayon. I was skeptical when I first got it, but I was very impressed with the ability to take notes with that Lochitek Crayon. So we'll give it a 5 here as well. And then because it doesn't support pressure sensitivity, it's not really suitable for calligraphy. So it's going to get a 1. Now when you create art, it really depends on the type of artwork that you create. If you rely on opacity changes in your Procreate brushes, then I don't recommend the Lochitek Crayon. But if you do mostly solid illustrations or line art or any type of drawings where you don't need pressure sensitivity, then the Lochitek Crayon is definitely a good choice. So I'm going to give it a 3 here. And then overall, I'm going to give this stylus pen a 3 as well. I'm going to deduct some points because one of the problems I see with this stylus is that charging. So it's got a charging port here, but it doesn't come with a charging cable. And I think that's very disappointing. This stylus pen is $70. This is actually a lightning cable connector. This is not USB, and I find that very disappointing, especially if you want to buy the stylus for one of the new iPads which has a USB-C charging port and not a lightning port. Then you will need an extra cable, and this is also the reason why I'm only going to give it a 2 in that value for money category, because this stylus pen is $70. It's not that much cheaper than the Apple Pencil. It doesn't come with a charging cable. It has no pressure sensitivity, so I really don't think this is good value for money. So the Logitech Crayon ends up with 14 points. And then last but not least, we have the Wacom Bamboo Fineline stylus pen. Now when it comes to taking notes, I did not enjoy using this stylus pen at all. It creates wobbly lines and it's unpredictable. It doesn't support palm rejection. So unfortunately, I'm only going to give it a 1 here. But then when it comes to calligraphy, because it does support pressure sensitivity, I'm going to give it a 3. It's not perfect. Again, it doesn't have palm rejection, which makes it a little bit more difficult. It's not that practical. Then for creating art, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. Again, same reason as with the calligraphy. Overall, this stylus pen is going to get a 2. It's not officially supported, and I'm not sure whether this is going to be working going forward. So I would be hesitant to recommend this stylus pen. And then when it comes to value for money, I'm going to give it a 3. It's quite a bit cheaper than the Apple Pencil, but still it doesn't have all the functionality the Apple Pencil has. And I really find it lacks precision, which is quite important to me, and therefore will give it a 3. So the Wacom Bamboo stylus pen ends up with 12 points. And now it's quite obvious to see that the Apple Pencil 1 and the Apple Pencil 2 are that clear winners in my test, which means I haven't really changed my mind. I still really recommend that you get an Apple Pencil if you can, but now you have the options. So there are some alternatives if you really don't want to get an Apple Pencil, but the amount of happiness and joy I get out of this device really makes it worth it for me. I really hope you found this video useful. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'm also going to bloop up another video where I do a stylus pen review, but for the phone, not for the iPad. So if you're interested in a stylus for your phone, definitely watch that video as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.